And we're live. Welcome everyone to the Prometheans Variety Hour. And we're live. Welcome everyone to the Prometheans Variety Hour. And we're live. Welcome everyone to the Prometheans Variety Hour. I'm Izaran, and here is. That's your cue there, my dude.
Hang on, sorry, I just managed to screw up the audio. Yep, and I'm Radio Brain. Incompetent at my computer all of a sudden.
Who isn't?
Can you hear me?
Mine's dying. Oh, I can hear you fine, so I hope the audience can hear you. Fine, so I hope the audience can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you on the test stream in the background. So anyway, so this is what we're like I said, this is the variety hour or variety stream or whatever the hell we're gonna end up calling this thing when we actually publish it. And what we're gonna really just do is talk about a number of different topics over the course of about an hour or so. It's not like we have set times for how much we're gonna do anything like that. It's just go with the flow.
Yep, just
Yep.
shoot the shit. And
we thought we'd start up with the whole Hunter Biden and Burisma, right?
Yes, a big bit of news that's not being talked about enough.
Yeah. So
oddly,
yeah.
Wonder why.
Let me bring up the. Yeah, I gotta learn to get a hell of a lot better at this thing. I think I will with time. There we go. All right. So, oh shit. Hold on. Let me get this so it's a pocket. As per usual, if you have any thoughts on what we're discussing, feel free to chime in. We're not going to respond. We're not going to get necessarily to everything that comes up, but we'll interact as we can. So first thing we decided to bring up, and this goes along with what we've Radio Brain and I have discussed, is when we try to present you with this sort of information and discussion, we're going to try to prevent a clearly left-wing source on something, a clearly right-wing source on something, and somebody who claims to be in the middle, but yeah, maybe they are, maybe they aren't. So on the Hunter Biden thing, we're going to look over a Guardian article, a Daily Wire article, and a BBC article. You can work out for yourself who's who in the bias list. I'll give you a hint. The Guardian's left, the Daily Wire's right, the BBC pretends to be right, pretends to be center. They're not.
I had it completely the other way around. So the Daily Wire was a communist site. Jeez, and I wonder I'm so bad at communism.
DW, Daily Worker.
Yeah.
Or actually, if you listen to the left, they're a fascist site, so it could be the Daily Welt, the Daily War,
the Daily Wehrmacht. Is that? What other W words don't know that fit in there?
Velk or Velt or I can't remember how to pronounce
Daily Work Camp.
But see, that can work for communists too.
It's horseshoe theory.
It's almost no. It's almost not even horseshoe theory. It's not even horseshoe theory. It's almost like communists and Nazis are both socialists. How about that? Anyway,
yeah, but you would say that because you're clearly a Nazi.
So I'm not a socialist, so I don't know how you work that one into things. But all right, so I'm gonna let you lead off with some of the Hunter Biden stuff because I'll admit I haven't been. You were right to say it isn't being talked about enough. I haven't honestly been paying as much attention to it as I probably should.
Yeah, basically the Daily Wire article is so far the best bit of information on it. Putting aside the documents from Homeland Security and Government Affairs, basically. So
do you want to start with the Daily Wire then?
Yeah, let's start with that because it's got the dot points in there and vague outline. Right, I mean, we don't want to go through all of it.
Yeah, I'll at least read. I'll at least read out the title, even though everyone can see it, but still, I'll do it. Hunter Biden received millions from wife of ex-Moscow mayor. Paid suspects allegedly tied to trafficking had contacts with individuals linked to Chinese military. Senate report alleges. Anything from this that I read or any names that I state, I apologize to anybody who can properly pronounce Russian and Eastern Slavic names. I can't.
Well, I think so. Looking across the articles, they spell them differently, so I think some of them don't know how it's the journalists don't know how to pronounce
Well,
it.
that's not that's not the fault of us who use the Latin alphabet. No.
Yeah. No. But well, you would think that they'd find out. I mean,
No,
given most of their
right up
news
there with-
sources are coming,
No,
most
that
of
was
their
a
news
jab.
sources will come from the West.
That was a jab right up there with Sargon's "fuck you Poland" when we talk about Polish names and spelling.
Yeah. Well, can I buy a vowel? Is that possible?
No. To the gulag you go.
No. Yeah.
How many vowels are in your name? 2. Too many. Take him to the gulag.
Yeah, the ratio is about 1 vowel to every 10 consonants. I think, from my last count.
Yeah, something like that. Honestly, we can blame the Greeks for that one, not the Romans. Yet another reason why the Romans were right in conquering the Greeks. But anyway, never mind. Okay, so I'll let you get into this, and I'll go. I'll bring the article down as you go through some of this because you've read more into this than I have.
Yeah, well, as I said, I've read into it, but I'm still.
All right. Do you want to at least go over?
There's a lot here.
Do you want to at least go over the bullet points?
That's what I'm going to start with.
Okay,
Yep.
so
I'll start with
basically,
that.
maybe at least the very first thing we might do is just give some, like a very brief minute overview of what the whole Hunter Biden thing is.
Yeah, you start with that.
Yeah, so Hunter Biden obviously is, especially from the picture, it should be very clear. He's one of Joe Biden's sons. Obviously not the son that Joe Biden lost a couple of years ago to cancer, which, that's tragic, and I'm never going to mock or mark the man for the loss of his son like that. Anyway, it came out a couple of years ago, right around the time. Not even a couple. It came out right around the time of the impeachment stuff for President Trump, with the whole Ukraine connection thing. That Hunter Biden had some questionable ties to the Ukrainian oil and gas company Burisma, and what it basically was Hunter Biden was elected to the board of Burisma back in. I think it was sometime between 2009 and 2014. I'm not sure on the years and the dates. That's my biggest problem with this, is I'm just not sure on these things. And he was basically completely unqualified for the job in every conceivable way. And the argument that's been made is that there's only one reason or one way he got that job. Daddy was vice president. Daddy had the ear of the president. And which really shouldn't surprise anybody. That's dirty politics 101. And then this set off a whole investigation where so we got it here. The Senate Committee on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs and the Committee on Finance had been conducting a investigation conducted by the Finance Committee. Specifically Senator Charles Grassley, into what exactly was Biden's relationship with Burisma Holdings. And some of this goes back to comments then Vice President Joe Biden had made about the withholding of, I think it was about $1 billion of support funding to the Ukrainian government until a certain prosecutor, and this is the stuff I'm not sure about, who may or may not be corrupt himself, was removed from an investigation pertaining to Burisma, or Burisma was somehow connected or involved in it. And some people have now raised the question, was Biden's pressure to have that investigation called off because of his son's involvement with the company? And the Senate Finance Committee's investigation has found hell of a lot more than just Hunter Biden worked for Burisma. Hunter Biden's relationship with Burisma may have influenced the Obama administration's policy with Ukraine. It seems to go a hell of a lot deeper than that. And that's where we are here with the bullet points.
Yeah.
So I'll go ahead and let you go through these.
Yeah. One quick point. How long's this investigation been going on for?
Oh, God. What, almost 2 years now?
Yeah,
I'm not
because that's
actually
been quite a
sure.
while. And something that strikes me here is what's happened in the meantime. Like this investigation has been going on, and we've had the impeachment, we had Ukraine Gate, we've had Russia Gate, all this stuff going
Well,
on.
I think it started
We are
up in and around the
constantly
time of Ukraine Gate.
okay. So I thought it preceded it a bit. Uh,
As far
yeah,
as
as a
the first I'd learned and heard about any of this came about with the Ukraine Gate thing. So
yeah, I seem
okay,
to remember something was
and
already being looked
just
into
double
at that
checking
point.
things. Hunter Biden began. He joined the board of Burisma Holdings in April of 2014.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, as I said, there's a
Oh,
lot of
and the
information here, a
investigation
lot of
the investigation
details.
started in 2019. Started by Republican senators Ron Johnson and Chuck Grassley.
Yeah. Where are you getting that part? Is that in the bullet points, or am I? Because I'm
No,
reading this going,
I'm
I'm going
honestly,
nuts.
I'm pulling a Vorsh and I'm looking up. I've looked up Hunter Biden on Wikipedia, and I'm just specifically, the stuff
Oh,
I'm looking up is point blank clear information. It's not something you can spin out of. He joined the board in April 2014. Okay, that's a basic fact. The
yeah,
investigation started sometime. They don't state when, but sometime in 2019 by Senators Ron Johnson and Chuck Grassley. That's that's it. I figure that's not Vorsh level shit where you're trying to read way too far into stuff.
yeah. I
Okay.
think you're right. So yeah, my point though is we've this is this is typical. This is what we are basically getting used to finding out. Something has been going on that's quite a big deal. We're not hearing about it half as much, or uh, and now even it's there's not a lot. This hasn't blown up in the news cycle at all, and that's
Well, I'm not
uh,
surprised it hasn't, to be honest. I mean, look, we talked about in the when we talked about in our stream on Joe Biden. The media is prepared to shove their tongues and noses as far up his ass as they possibly can.
yeah. But he's still a uh, he's still a presidential candidate,
Mm-hmm.
and like compare this to Hillary Clinton before the U.S. election in 2016. In when you remember that, like Comey looked into something that had come up, and this was a big story, and
But that's because that came out of the then acting director of the FBI. The media has a much
no,
easier time shoving things off if it's a Senate committee investigation.
yeah, oh no, but I'm referring to him looking into it because it blew up in the media, but now that was a big deal at the time, and that's what I've always been used to in my life. If something comes up that's
Oh, I agree.
questionable, you're going to get it. But even in the space of 4 years, we've gone from that being the
Oh, I see
norm
what you're saying.
to
Yeah,
the
yeah.
norm is,
Protect at all costs.
yeah, this should be an absolute massive story. But yeah, I'll get into some of it. It's, I mean, I'm not too sure where to start, but there's a lot here. We've got the first point is, in 2015, in October, senior State Department official Amos Hochstein raised concerns with Vice President Biden, as well as with Hunter, that his position on Burisma's board enabled Russian disinformation efforts and risks undermining US policy in Ukraine. It's, yeah, it goes
It's
against the narrative we've been told, hasn't it? That
yeah, it
Trump's
kind of
in league
does.
with Putin. I mean, that's a,
Well, I mean, yeah, it just. I mean, I don't know really anything about the politics of the board of Burisma Holdings. I mean, so I don't know the being a Ukrainian company. I don't know if they have pro-Russian sympathies or Ukrainian sympathies, and that's a huge issue with the whole issue over. I think isn't Crimea a big part of that whole issue?
well, yes. Ukraine was very divided back then in
Mm,
2014-15, and
arguably still is.
yes, and yeah, it's. I mean, you could just go into that. There's so much more that would have been going on there. I don't even know where to start. And so it's. I mean, that point, like raising issues. We'd have to dig into the documents from to get it, but it could just be nothing. But it does demonstrate that it was being talked about at that time. There was.
Yeah, there's still kind of a state of unofficial or undeclared war between Ukraine and Russia over the Crimea.
Oh, I meant the State Department official.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Bring that up.
And that brings that up because that's a year into when this whole shit started with Russia and Ukraine, because that was in mid or early 2014.
And I think when did the plane get shot down? Ukraine. What was it? I'm just getting.
I know what you're talking about. I don't remember when that happened.
Yeah,
but I
because that was.
I think the conflict.
Yeah, that was in 2014.
Yeah,
so
the low intensity of the conflict started before that.
Yeah, so it does. Yeah, I mean, it's got my noggin jogging. What was going on? Why did this come up? How did this senior State Department official cotton onto it? Maybe because they were looking into the affairs of Putin over there, and who knows? I'll move on. Although Kent believed that Hunter Biden's role on Burisma's board was awkward for all US officials pushing an anti-corruption agenda in Ukraine, the committees are only aware of two individuals, Kent and former US Special Envoy and Coordinator of International Energy Affairs, Amos Hochstein, who raised concerns to VP Biden and his staff.
So, we've now twice got a... we've got a case of... Twice now, it seems like Amos Hochstein has brought up some concerns concerning the situation with Hunter Biden's position. I recall something like that last year with all this. Hello?
Yep. Hello.
Yeah, it's just, I recall something about that, about there being an official in the State Department who'd raised multiple concerns. I don't remember the details, though. It's the problem. To be completely fair, I was at the time all this stuff was breaking down. There was some, we were dealing with a death in the family type thing around that time, and everyone was gathered in my family. I was away from all of my major, away from my computer and other things where I could search all my major sources, and yeah, it was a messy time. But anyway, neither here nor there.
Yeah, it's I'll move on to the next part. The awkwardness for Obama administration officials continued well past his presidency. Just to insert a little note here, do you remember that comment that Obama made when he left, or when he was about to leave office, saying that they'd had no major scandals?
Oh,
I'm immediately reminded of that. That's
yeah, that comment always throws me into stitches because that comment is so fucking false.
Yeah.
The only reason why he's able to say major is because the media protected his ass. Oh,
yeah,
God.
or it wasn't. I think, if I remember correctly, most of the things that happened on his watch didn't go back to him.
Oh yeah, specifically nothing went back to him because he had what's the word I'm looking for here? He had not drones, but he had people who were just willing to fall for him at any time. He
had a Praetorian Guard around him who...
No, not even that. No, not even that. He had every single day, he had people, anytime there's a scandal, he had an army of people lining up saying, we're willing to take the fall for you, Mr. President. And it's like Reagan with the Iran-Contra scandal and Colonel North. But every single scandal, all the time. Ollie North took the fall for that one to protect the president. There's no question to that. It's just, imagine that, but every single time there was a scandal. So, yeah, I mean, there was Fast and Furious, which, did start under Bush. But the Bush administration, by all accounts, didn't seem to be the one that fucked it up. Then there was, I know, it was still terrible policy. And then there was, I know this is fast forwarding a few, but then there's the whole Lois Lerner and the IRS specifically targeting conservative nonprofit organizations. It's like, come on now. At some point, it's evident that you can't sit there and tell me that the White House is utterly out of, has no control over what the executive branch is doing. Please don't tell me that.
It strikes me that he would be, a better way to put it, it makes me wonder how much he knew of something like this going on.
And that's actually one thing I did hear is that, no, that wasn't pertaining to this. That was this, what I was thinking it was pertaining to the Flynn countersuit that's going on right now. I figure we can talk about that another time because I simply don't have it. There's just not enough information out there, and I'm going to need to look over the legal brief before we can discuss that.
Yeah. Oh, another controversial subject where the attempted attacking Trump revolves around something that rubs up the other side with a funny smell.
Yeah.
A bit of a theme, isn't it? More of the same. It's. I'll just go on. Former Secretary of State John Kerry had knowledge of Hunter Biden's role on Burisma's board, but when asked about it,
I found that fascinating because go on, because after you're done reading through that, I've got some interesting things to say about Kerry.
Yeah, but when asked about it at a town hall event in Nashua, New Hampshire, on December 8, 2019, Kerry falsely said, "I had no knowledge about any of that. None, no. Evidence to the contrary is detailed in Section 5. Go on. What's your take?
So Kerry is an interesting figure. At the time that all of this was going on, I think Kerry was the Secretary of State. This is either before or after the bitch becomes Secretary of State. Because I don't remember. No, this is before because she replaced him. And for the record, anyone who might get pissy at me for referring to Hillary Clinton that way, I refer to I would refer to somebody like Henry Kissinger, not Secretary of State, but still, I would refer to someone like Henry Kissinger as the bastard in equal measure. But anyway, so Kerry is interesting in this because I don't remember exactly what it was, but Kerry got caught up into something after you remember how last year or so there was some actual real challenges made to Tony Blair going around to the European Union countries and trying to tell them, like, when his talk with Sarkozy, trying to say basically don't deal with the May government, and a lot of people were viewing that as what Blair is doing is openly treasonous. Kerry was doing shit kind of similar to that shortly after Trump took office, going around to a couple places, pretending to be act under the ground. Or not, I wouldn't say, okay, pretending, that's a false attribution. But basically saying we're, trying to negotiate, going around to different places. I don't remember if it was Iran or Saudi Arabia specifically. It was one of them saying, don't, effectively undermining official Trump administration policy, negotiation policies. Whether or not he was doing so intentionally is a big thing. And compared to a country like Britain with like what Blair was doing, there is a lot more freedom to do that in the United States, but it's still questionable. And I don't remember all the details on it, but Kerry got into some hot water with what he was doing, going around, jet setting around the world, talking to foreign governments and stuff like that, even though he wasn't a member of the administration, not acting in any official capacity, but he was a major, prominent public figure in American politics. Could you imagine what the fallout would be if, say, George W. Bush had gone around to different places in the world meeting with foreign leaders during Obama's reign? That wouldn't have been good.
Yeah.
Now, could you imagine if Hillary Clinton had done the same and wasn't acting and she lost to Barack Obama in the Democrat primary in 2008? Could you imagine if she was doing something like that?
I
Uh,
think technically she has been doing it
but imagine if she was
in a
doing
way,
that with imagine if
more
she was doing that
surreptitiously though.
imagine if she was doing that in the early years of the Obama administration without the consent and official support of the Obama administration.
Yeah.
That
I
would
think
be
you
a
have to
serious
clarify
problem.
it there.
Well,
I think one thing to
I needed
clarify that. Yeah, I think one thing to clarify there is that she wasn't openly doing it. I mean, I think it's implied by her MO that she plays her own game
Well, she
and
doesn't need to
she's
do it
been
herself. She has people who'll do it for her.
yeah, but she and most of the leaders, most of the high profile ones end up going on like, giving lectures and talks and
Well, yeah. I
so on
mean,
and so forth.
look at how much money Bill made after leaving office. Look how much money Bush has made after
Yeah,
leaving office. They all do that
but
kind
they
of
do
shit.
it. But and they do go around talking about what should be done and their opinions and so on. But they do it.
Yeah, but going around and
They
giving
don't do it.
talks is one thing. Going and meeting privately with the leaders of
But
foreign
they do it along the way.
states-
They will do it in the process. They will meet with people. So
Of course, but it's like what Kerry was doing was like official visits with like I think actually one of the things was his meeting with Sarkozy or Macron. Might have been Macron. Might have the names mixed up for some of these things, but going around, he actually did like an official visit with the president of France and
what was his role? What was his role at the time? Was he?
It was there. When you say role, do you mean like official?
Yeah,
None.
He was an ambassador or something?
No, he wasn't. There was no when Kerry went and met with. And okay, I gotta look this up. Give me a second here because I gotta be sure I know who I'm talking about so I don't mix names up. Okay, so come on, where are you? Load up, you bastard. Okay, so apparently, one of the things that had come about was he had met and he had an official meeting with Iranian diplomats in France in 2000. No, not 2015. In 2018. So 2 years into the Trump administration, Kerry, who is a private citizen, this is by the way, this is why I'm not sure Kerry could be prosecuted, which is why I don't think I completely agree with the president on this, because the president had called for him to be prosecuted. Because yeah, I think that qualifies under Hatch Act, but again, Hatch Act has not been acted upon since has only been
What's
acted.
Hatch Act?
Okay, yeah, I knew this was going to come up. I should have prepared for it. I think it's the Hatch Act. It's the Hatch Act or the other one. I can't remember the name of the other one off the top of my head. I'm trying to remember. No, it's not the Hatch Act. Damn it. It's been invoked a few times for purely political purposes.
Yeah. Well, what's the basic gist of it? What's the basic gist?
The idea of it is hold on. It's what they snagged Michael Flynn on. Hold on. It's what they tried to snag him on.
Not admitting that where he'd been, roughly.
Kind of, sort of. Son of a bitch. Anyone in chat, if they know what the hell I'm thinking of, please fill me in. I know it. It's the Logan Act. That's it.
Anyway, I reckon. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, the Logan Act was enacted in 1799. It makes it a criminal law to negotiate in an unauthorized position. Okay, simple summary. Is a United States. The Logan Act is a United States federal law that criminalizes negotiation by unauthorized American citizens with foreign governments having a dispute with the United States. One could easily argue Iran has a dispute with the United States. So John Kerry, not being authorized by the federal government of the United States, secretly meeting with and attempting to negotiate with the Iranians could be argued to be a violation of the Logan Act.
Yeah.
It's what they've tried to snag Michael Flynn on, and they've run into a whole mess of trouble with that one, because if I recall correctly, Flynn is the guy... Was it Flynn? Might have been someone else. There's a lot of names surrounded with all the people that the left was going after with Russiagate. It may have been a CIA asset, but the docket was intentionally changed by an FBI attorney who has confessed and pled guilty to doing so. Anyway, yeah, we don't want to stick too long on this. We've actually been on... We were intending to be Variety Hour. We've been on this one for over half an hour.
Yeah, I'm kind of think maybe we could go for hours on this, but
yeah, this might be something we need to dig into in depth. So
yeah,
our
just move on to all right, we'll just get through the dot points roughly.
Yeah, let's just get through the dot points, and we'll go over this. We'll set up a video or something like this where we just upload a video at some point where we go over this in detail.
Yeah. So I've lost my spot now. Actually, I'm just going to jump ahead to this. The thing we talked about it before the stream. Hunter Biden was a U.S. Secret Service protectee from January 29, 2009 to July 8, 2014, a day before his last trip as a protectee. Time published an article describing Burisma's ramped-up lobbying efforts to U.S. officials and Hunter's involvement in Burisma's board. So, quick note there. I mean, that's Time magazine, isn't it? That's, I presume. And so that means that, this isn't something that hasn't been known in the media. And
well, yeah, Time's a major publication, so
yeah, so we're getting, once again, we're getting, something's blown up. Years ago, this would have been a bigger story now. And and I'm also wondering why would his protectee status have ended then, or why was it in the first place? I can imagine because he's Biden's son, right? He's the president's son.
Okay. Oh, you're asking why it specifically ended in 2014?
Yeah.
Okay. So
because that's around the time of, so that's when the Ukraine situation was heating up.
And there's what I'm about to say
running hot.
What I'm about to say is basically just coincidence, really. There was a law that was passed and signed by either near the end of the Bush administration, or in the early years of President Obama's first term, that changed how Secret Service protection would work going forward. So I think President Obama is the last president who will receive a lifetime protection detail from the Secret Service. And that includes him and his immediate family. The way that always worked was also extended to but there were different provisions to how it worked for the vice president's family. Obviously, while in office, the vice president is protected almost as heavily as the president is. So it's just coincidence. There was a change up in how Secret Service protection works. So I don't think that. So this is where
nothing too much.
Which is why I think that just pointing that particular date out, that date might be when the law went into effect. I'm not sure if it is, and honestly, it's just the Daily Wire looking to raise some eyebrows when there shouldn't be any eyebrows raised.
No, I think they're probably just reporting the detail.
That's all. Yeah, that's also.
It's me reading into it. It's me reading into it. Well, I'm curious to know.
True.
We'll move on.
And a lot of people just don't know. A lot of people aren't even aware that Secret Service protection detail changed. It's not big news anywhere because it's not really relevant news anywhere.
Yeah. So I won't read out all the names, but he's basically gone on to. He's received it on trips to multiple locations, and there's about 20, 25 names. He gets around, doesn't he? So it's. And what is his? I've forgotten now. What is his actual? What's his speciality, qualification, and
none.
What is it? He's
none. He is effectively a playboy who is the son of a lifetime senator and vice president. That's Hunter Biden in a nutshell. I mean, he is just that. He is just the playboy of a rich lifetime senator. That's it.
Yeah. So he graduated from law school in the 90s. And he's just been
the argument
living off Daddy's influence.
The way that he's been described, from people like Ben Shapiro, who, well, I think, relevant name to use here since Ben Shapiro is one of the co-founders of the Daily Wire, is a professional useless person. Which is a term I really like. I really like the term professional useless person.
Well, he's a paperweight for international.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think it's I don't find it terribly surprising, because if I recall, the son that Joe Biden lost to cancer was his oldest son, basically his heir, for lack of better words. So it doesn't surprise me in the slightest that the second son or third son or whatever is just not going to have as much attention on him or as much to do, and Daddy's going to be more interested in just keeping him out of trouble because creating trouble creates trouble for Daddy.
He's just trying to keep him off the streets.
Basically. And if I recall, Hunter Biden had been busted for crack cocaine, I think it was, found underneath the seat of a rental car that he'd had at one point. It's like,
oh, really?
Yeah, and his kid is like
actually, I just looked at a
prostitute or something like that. Like I said, I'm not going to mark the man for how he chooses to live his life. It's just, in the grand scheme of politics and all that sort of thing, he's not been the best for his dad as far as embarrassment and reputation.
Yeah,
as you were saying that.
Yeah, as you said that, I just flicked over to the Wikipedia page. I don't want to take it too seriously, but down the second paragraph of the personal life section is Biden spent decades struggling with alcohol and drug addiction. It's like,
Yeah,
it's like Dad's just got shit, man. We need to get this kid to go to.
Yeah, I mean, I figure he probably had a really crappy home life with his dad being, well, like him, a professional useless person, lifetime. Well,
hang on.
Oh no, serious. I say that. I say that seriously.
Much respect.
About Biden. Well, no, not with much respect, because Biden's
I was being ironic.
Because Biden's whole career has really come across as just being, my job is to get elected. That's not a fucking job. Anyway, that's a different conversation that goes into my disgust with a lack of term limits. I'm in favor of term limits.
Well, there's something we should go into later. That'd be yeah, we could do that sometime. But yeah, I think it's he's a professor. He's just been kept out of trouble, and it's like,
I
don't know what else could he be getting up to with on his trips, I wonder. I mean,
God's only knows.
Yeah, he gets around. Anyway, I reckon we should tear through some more of the dot points, because it's starting to get a bit confusing at this point, because we're getting a lot of names. This one I think it's Andriy Telizhenko, the Democrats' personification.
That's better than I was able to come up with.
Yeah. The Democrats' personification of Russian disinformation met with Obama administration officials. Hang on, sorry, am I reading this right? The Democrats' personification of Russian disinformation,
meaning Andriy Telizhenko is the Democrats, he's their straw man for Russian disinformation. He is their symbol. They point to him and go, "This is our sign of this is our Russian bot master."
Okay, So he met with Obama administration officials, including Zentos, a member of Obama's National Security Council, at least 10 times. So,
hell of a narrative to spin when this guy's met with the Obama administration's NSC several times. 10 times, by the way, I don't think is actually that many, but still.
Yeah, well,
the Israeli officials, for example, meet with the NSC regularly. British officials regularly. Chinese officials regularly. 10 times. I mean, come on, please, that's nothing.
Yeah, but it depends on the role as well. So
that's true.
It's still a lot for someone that they've turned on
Yeah, it's just I'm not gonna try to mischaracterize the Obama administration if it was acting in good order, but we'll see.
So it's just a Democrat lobbying firm, Blue Star Strategies, contracted with Telizhenko from 2016 to 17 and continued to request his assistance as recent as the summer of 2019. A recent news article detailed other extensive contacts between Telizhenko and Obama officials.
See, what I want to know is what is Telizhenko's relationship to Hunter Biden and Burisma. The only thing I can think of why Telizhenko is a relatable figure in this right now is because Telizhenko had, obviously regularly met with the Obama administration, then Democrat lobbyists, which, those two things can be folded back to Joe Biden because, Joe Biden was Obama's VP. But the thing is the 2000 summer, as recent as summer 2019 is interesting because if this guy is the Democrats, look at him, the Russian bot master. Why are you meeting with him?
Yeah, they seem to know a lot about people that they hang around with, don't they? They seem
more specifically than that.
If
this guy is the personification of the Russian puppet mastery over Trump, why are you meeting with him?
Well, they used to be friends with Trump as well, remember, back in the day.
My question still stands. Why would they be meeting with him now when Trump is their enemy?
Yeah,
if he is the guy who is their very symbol of Putin's tendrils in Trump, why are they meeting with him? I think that
very good question.
I think that's a very good question to ask, and especially considering you've got people still running with the Russiagate crap.
Yeah, it's quite a lot. It's hey, at this point, most of those people are just delusional, in my opinion. But maybe they've forgotten.
I think you and I are well aware of that. It's just they're good questions that need to be put in the face. The people who are running the Russiagate stuff need to be asked. If Russiagate is a thing and it's a threat to our entire republic, why is your side meeting with the puppet master?
Yeah, that's another reason why this is not getting enough coverage. Possibly is because they don't want to let these details out. It's pretty damning, this list. I don't think there's any conclusive.
I do think the Daily Wire's done a good job in compartmentalizing this together.
These are the reason I chose the article is because these dot points are the
easiest to process through.
Yeah, I mean it's an ordered list. There's a lot more in the file. I mean, I can't summarize it all, but from the actual inquiry reports and whatnot. But it's everything creates questions, and it makes you. I mean, given the fact that we were told, Trump asked Zelensky to look into something. Boom, he's bad. It was like, well, hang on. Well, what are you doing here? You've got a list. You've got a whole encyclopedia of events taking place that completely contradict their narrative.
Even if they aren't contradictory, there's still questions to be asked. And you've got a whole encyclopedia. The Democrats' whole argument for Ukrainegate and the impeachment was, you had a quote questionable, and it wasn't. I read the transcript through and through. I'm sorry, that phone call was not questionable. Questionable. Try to find the transcripts for Kissinger talking with the North Vietnamese during the Paris Accords in 1968. That's questionable. But actually that's treasonous, but still. If everything that they try to impeach and attempt to remove from office a sitting president over one phone call with the president of Ukraine. Okay.
Well, the folks in the phone call itself contradicts it.
Explain all this shit. Seriously. The relationships that are just now publicly available here is way more to go off than the phone
It
call
does.
with Zelensky. And I know,
It
of course,
shows
I'm
how
being
much they're willing to get away with.
of course,
How much,
and I'm being hyperbolic because their grounds for impeachment was not simply the phone call with Zelensky. It was their excuse to initiate the process, but still, this is just it just smells so rotten eggs smells better than this.
It goes to show how much like people in positions of power, how much they can, how much of it's a bluff. Because if you look at this, you've got all this information. And when I said it contradicts the narrative, I mean specifically that it nukes this idea that Trump was in some kind of inherently wrong situation by having the phone call, by asking for help, not just because the internal details of that story, but their big thing was, he's doing a dealing with them. Well, we've got a list here of meetings, dealings, so on and so forth, and I swear to God, it strikes me as being basically part of how they can basically whittle down any story to some kind of like simplistic point, and as long as you can do that and make it something that's going to make you look good, you can, basically just bluff people, bluff the public into getting away with it.
Yeah,
into believing it. And this is where the media is now currently sort of a dangerous entity, is that they're not covering this like it would have once been covered. And people, in the age of the internet, we have so much information in our hands, but they now have this power to create these narratives with an enormous amount of momentum behind them, no matter what the truth is. So we can all go out there and research this till we're blue in the face.
Well, see, this is where.
Meanwhile,
not to get too far off the topic with it, this is where they actually are increasingly relying on the big tech companies to do their censorship for them, because
exactly.
Think about like Facebook, Twitter, how much they will try to suppress stuff like this. Before we got even live, I talked about r/politics on Reddit. Sources like the Daily Wire, while not overtly banned from r/politics, gets downvoted into the dust.
Yeah.
Because the high, in the case of r/politics, that's not the fault of the moderators and not the fault of the Reddit admins. Well, okay, that's kind of the fault of the moderators of the subreddit, but it's not the fault of the Reddit admins there. That's the hive mind on Reddit tending to lean teenage socialist mind levels of intelligence on some of the shit. So if I was aware of Reddit, or if Reddit was around when I was a 17-year-old commie, oh god, I would have been all over that place.
Hey, it didn't used to be that horrifically bad.
You're right there. You're right. If I was a 17-year-old, if I was the same person I was when I was 17, now, oh god. Okay, I'm already all over Reddit anyway, but I'm on Reddit for the memes. If I was I would be. Oh god, I would be an absolute karma farm on our side politics. I'd be all over late stage capitalism, r/anarchy, r/late stage capitalism, r/anarchy, all the fucking commie subs. So, and that's what I was saying. Not to get too far off topic, just they rely on the tech censorship to do that. There's no way in hell Facebook is going to allow things like this Daily Wire article to spread around organically. It has to be spread around. Sorry, algorithmically. It has to be spread around organically. People have to share it themselves. Twitter's the same way.
But they can interrupt. They can.
Yeah.
If you think of it this way, if everyone goes to what they're interested in, there's lots of things going on in the world. There's lots of stories. When you dive into a story, there's lots of different ways you can, aspects of any given story. You can go and look into it. So if you think about it, a population of 1 million, it's going to break down into lots of little streams. And you can, if you're, say, on Twitter, you can follow and interact with, whoever there is in your circle. But I think where the tech companies really have a big power is they can come along and they can drop a story where instead of all these little micro groupings of people over, it's like a giant Venn diagram, overlapping interests and interactions, they suddenly drop in this big one. And if they can build a momentum, even if only 20% of the people you target believe it, now that 20% is
going to share it with others.
Yeah. So like,
yeah, absolutely. They curate the sources that they favor.
Yeah, or no, I think the curation part is not that obvious. As simply do. I mean, some of these things with like the shit they banning certain tweets and users, these things are obvious, but there's still a lot of information that goes around it that they generally wouldn't like. But what they do is they don't want to be so obvious as to get rid of all of it, so they don't necessarily ban it all or curate it, but they'll create something through another. They create effects. For example, like just speaking of banning people, so they banned Tommy Robinson off of Facebook, and that then creates the effect of that seems to have been Tommy Robinson was banned. That's the.
I know what you mean.
It suddenly spins off this other story. It doesn't matter what he said or didn't say. Suddenly, there's this huge group of people out there who may have known very little about him, or maybe they were on the fence about what to think of him. Oh, he got banned. Okay, well, he's banned. That's a bad thing. It's so you see what I mean? Like it's single. They create an effect that comes out of it, and I think it's the same with the media. It's like, okay, we're looking at this story, all these details, and if we go over to one of the, a Guardian article about it, which I'm looking at right now, it's it doesn't read in the same way as these dot point. In fact, it's the usual Guardian that meanders around a lot. It's just an article. I mean, think of the person reading it. You just sit there and read it, blah, blah, blah. It's not structured. It's giving you, I think, the average Guardian reader the illusion of reading something. Oh, I'm being informed here. But at the end of the day, all they're basically primed with this headline. And in some cases, there'll be people on, say, Facebook, Reddit, Twitter, whatever. They'll see this, someone will link to it. They'll see the headline. Go, okay, move on. But boom, they've got that piece of information in their head. And this is where I think that they're all forming a cabal. This is by which I mean big tech companies and certain media outlets, is they are basically spinning this narrative constantly because they're desperately trying to overcome the fundamental simple truth that we can all go get what we want, and they have to. And it's making them stupid because, I mean, we're sitting here now going through an article and then which is summarizing specific points, right? So in this list, in the dot points, in the Daily Wire article, I think we could say that for all intents and purposes, this is reliable information. This is not, I don't see anything in here that is being spun necessarily. Maybe there is. Maybe they left something out. I don't know. But I've still got a list of things I can go, there's a list of facts we can start with. And so, we can sit here and go over it. But what these companies want to do is force the narrative, and they're doing it through such a clumsy way that we are now sitting here doing this. And so,
yeah, and this is the kind of thing we shouldn't have to be discussing, but, well, once again, like you said, here we are.
Yeah.
Instead of talking about this kind of crap, we could be openly, we could be discussing the fallout in public opinion of this kind of story. And again, here we are.
Oh, we could be, finding a cure for cancer or something.
You have way too much faith in me.
I mean, collectively in the human race, that phrase keeps coming to my mind. It's like, oh, we could be discovering a way to make the world have a perfectly finely tuned, super egalitarian,
that's all
economy that Yeah.
let's
No,
be
no,
real,
no, no,
it's
no.
all
I
utopian.
don't mean utopian. I don't mean utopian. I don't know. I mean, we could be figuring this shit out. What are we doing instead? Trying to explain to some very slow people that communism and socialism are bad instead. It's,
Okay, yeah, that part's true.
how much of our brain power is, it's like this lag is happening. And I think a lot of those people are incensed by having been infected with Trump derangement syndrome anyway.
Yeah, they have, and it's I know some people who are just they can't at all be brought to think that anything that the bad orange man does isn't actually bad. And some of the people, the way that I've gotten around to talking to them about it, it's along the lines of discussing the issue itself and asking what they think would be the appropriate solution for it. And oftentimes, the appropriate solution for it is what the quote unquote bad orange man has ended up doing. It's ridiculous sometimes how absolutely narrow-minded people can be. And it's not actually no, that's not fair. That's not a fair comment. It's not that people are necessarily narrow-minded. It's that they they don't curate the sources of where they get their information from, and I don't blame them for that because a lot of people aren't like us, where this is our hobby. Politics and
lifeline back to sanity is my kind of big part of my motivation. Maintaining a lifeline back to sanity.
Well, yeah, but still, there's a part of there's a part of our interest in politics and moral philosophy and stuff like that that's a hobby.
Nah, fuck that.
We're interested in these things more than most people are. Most people are more concerned with getting on with their lives in whatever way that they get on with their lives in.
Yeah. No, actually, I must confess, look, I'm in it for the memes, and this is where the best memes are. That's it. That's it.
Hey, I mean, dude, being in it for the memes is a perfectly valid reason to be in it for. I'll not argue with that. Yeah, political memes aren't necessarily my thing, but I do appreciate them when I see them. I'm more into just your standard fare daily life memes. So
yeah,
that and dark humor. Feed me dark humor all damn day.
Oh yeah, let's. Yeah,
I am not going to share my favorite dark joke here. We will get banned from YouTube so fast.
Is it that kind of dark? Is it? Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Yes and no. I'll tell you some other time. But anyway,
that's all right. Yeah, I reckon we should wrap up actually, because I reckon we have chewed off way more than we should have.
Do we at least want to touch off a little bit? I know we talked beforehand about wanting to just touch off briefly on the whole Breonna Taylor grand jury ruling.
Nah, I seriously, I feel a bit burnt out reading through all this shit about Biden. It's like I feel like I'm looking at a jigsaw puzzle, and where the pieces come from different jigsaws or something. It's actually.
Well, we should at least let's make sure we at least update the audience to let them know that we will be back for sure on. Oh fucking hell! I lost the schedule.
What's that? It's your Tuesday at what is it? I can't remember the time.
That's the part I gotta check again.
29th.
Okay. Yep.
So
presidential
debate time.
All right, so everybody, we will be back on Tuesday, September 29th at we talked about being live about a half an hour before the debate started, right?
Yep.
So yeah, we will be live at 6:30 p.m. 6:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 p.m. Eastern on September 29th. And we will be live reacting, hopefully streaming. I'm still looking into that, just make sure we don't get struck.
Yep.
To cover the first presidential debate between President Donald Trump and Democrat presidential nominee Joe Biden. Join us then.
Yeah, so bring along your incontinence knickers for.
And
I will have listen out.
I will have a drinking game of some kind set up by then. So bring along your open bottle and prepare to lose your liver.
Oh, that'll be my breakfast over here. Jesus.
That's why I told you not to do it. You know, let those of us who are here in the States when it's in the evening sacrifice our livers.
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm gonna treat this like Hunter. We're gonna go Hunter S. Thompson on live stream style. This is gonna be like fear and loathing at the debates. You're gonna need alcohol and various other substances as a kind of suit of armor.
If you want to cover the other substances, part, alcohol is my substance of choice.
I'm going to be I'll have to do the ether. You'll know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Well, anyway, so
we'll have some fun with that.
Yeah, definitely. Come join us then. I think it'll be a lot of fun. Even if we're not able to stream it, we'll at least try to make sure I have pass-through audio so you can at least hear the debate if you're not watching with whatever stream we're watching. So, everyone out there, have a good evening. And again, see you Tuesday. This is Izaran. This is Izaran.
And this is Radio Brain.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us for the Prometheans. Have a good night.